So we're going to learn how to write a repeating decimal as a fraction. So if I give you this number, so we're going to look at our example, which I wrote this out as a nice question on your paper, but I forgot it on mine. A repeating decimal of, I'm sorry, the repeating should just be over, so scratch that. Yours is written correctly on yours. The 6 is just repeating, not the 16. So I'm going to let x equal that number. So that would be 0.16666, and that goes on forever. Now if I look, the repeating part is right here, right? So I want to make my new number with the decimal right in front of the repeating part. So if I look at this, I would just move it over 1. So that means if I'm moving it over 1, I'd multiply by 10. If I moved it over 2, I'd be multiplying by 100. If I moved it over 3, I'd multiply by 1,000. So that might be something you want to do. 1 decimal is 10. 2 decimals is 100, because your homework problem is going to have one that's 100. 3 decimal places is 1,000. Okay? So I'm moving mine 1 over. So I'm multiplying both sides by 10. So I'm going to have 10x equals 1.6666 repeating. Okay, and 6 goes on forever. Okay. So now I'm going to line up these two numbers. So I have x equals 0.166666 repeating, and 10x equals 1.6666 repeating. So now if I line them up top to bottom, so I'm going to have x equals 0.1666, and then 1.6 is 10x, I'm sorry, 6666. And then I'm going to subtract these two equations, and actually I should write the bigger number down below, so I'm actually going to write this one below here. Sorry about that. Okay. Now I'm going to subtract these two. That's why I went in bigger minus smaller, so I don't end up with negative numbers. It would still work, but it's going to be a little more complicated. So if I subtract these, 6 minus 6 is 0, 6 minus 6 is 0, 6 minus 6 is 0, 6 minus 6 is 0. And in case you're wondering about the decimal, all of them would be 6's after this, so they'd all cancel out. 6 minus 1 is 5. Bring my decimal down. 1 minus 0 is 1. Equals 10x minus x, which would just be 9x. Okay. So now I have 9x equals 1.5. So now I'm going to solve for x. Now I'm going to change my decimal into a fraction so it's easier to deal with. And we talked earlier that 1.5 is the same as 3/2. Okay. So to get x by itself, I could divide by 9 or multiply by the reciprocal, which would be multiplying by 1/9. And that's going to make my life easier here because I'm dealing with fractions. So the 9 cancels and the 1 cancels to leave me with x. And then I can say 3 goes into itself once, and 3 goes into 9 3 times. So 1 times 1 is 1. 2 times 3 is 6. So I get 1/6. Okay, so if I went and typed 1/6 into the calculator, it would be the repeating decimal 1.1666666 forever and ever and ever. Okay, so that's how you turn a repeating decimal into a fraction. Before we learned how to turn a regular fraction into, or a regular decimal into a fraction. But this is how you do a repeating decimal. So I hope you guys have a good day. I didn't write down the exit slip, I'm sorry. Let me get a different piece of paper out. This is on my back page. So for your exit slip, write 0.06 repeating as a fraction. Okay? And then your homework problems are page 102, number 1 through 13 odd. Okay? I hope you have a good night. Sorry for my voice. I'll probably skip making another video tonight, so maybe